everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. This is part 2 of the V trifecta. Wines that start, well, white wines that start with the V. Shout out to Christopher Smith, new subscriber. He nailed the next two, and he guessed Viognier. He got the other one too, but yeah, pretty cool. I got a few comments. Thank you very much. Thank you, David. Just a nice shout out. Thanking me for getting back on YouTube despite the eye surgery. Actually, I almost wore my regular glasses today, but I didn't want it. Walking Dead reviews Viognier. My eyes are still a little bit, not perfect. Viognier. This is a grape I was talking about that has grown in popularity since I first was introduced to it, and that was years ago. I could not say it, no matter how many times I looked at it. Viognier. I just phonetically could not get it right. But Viognier kind of took a foothold, I guess, in the northern Rhone Valley. They used to plant it right along with Syrah. They used to do a field blend, so it was Syrah and Viognier co-fermented. They still do that. And many places do co-ferment Syrah with Viognier. Why? Well, evidently, there's elements in Viognier that help it enhance the color of Syrah. Syrah is already black, inky, purple wine, but somehow there's some sort of chemical reaction that Viognier makes Syrah actually even more purple. Enhances the color of Syrah. It also tempers down the tannins a bit, gives it a richer mouthfeel, and I know for sure gives it a floral component because Viognier is known to be very floral. I often refer to Viognier as a fruit salad and a liquefied fruit salad. Not that it's sweet, but because of the aromas and the flavors that come with it, for some reason just remind me of fruit salad. It can be fruit forward. It certainly has more sugars in it than a lot of white grapes. Less acid, more sugars, gives it a higher alcohol content, although none of these really have what I consider a high alcohol, though this one pushing the limit just a little bit. But that's because winemakers know what they're doing, and they're able to tamper down that alcohol level and keep it in a more reasonable level. It's also a very popular blend with Marsanne and Roussanne in the Rhone Valley. So you get Marsanne, Roussanne, Viognier. They do that a lot in Washington State as well as California. Very popular white blend. Marsanne, Roussanne, Viognier. I've come to really like Viognier. Like I said, in my section, I have several Viogniers right next to the Chardonnay. And then I have some Viognier over in the Australian side because they do it there. And I also have Viognier in the French side. Obviously, they do Viognier. It's actually, and this one is not an expensive one. The really popular Viognier from France in the Rhone Valley is called Condrieu. The reason I don't have a Condrieu here is because they're rather expensive. I think Condrieu runs anywhere from 30 to probably 60 bucks. So it's a very expensive wine, and I'm not here to necessarily show off expensive wines, and they're not always easy to find. Very rare. I don't even have one in my department. I used to. I don't believe I have one now. I know Cougar made a Condrieu that I used to carry. I might bring them back in. People just don't understand it. It doesn't say Viognier on it. It says Condrieu, which is a region where they make Viognier in the Rhone Valley. We're going to get started right off. We have 4 to go through here, so I'm excited to do this. I love these guys. Oak Grove Viognier from California. This is 2020. It rolls in at $8. I've always been a fan of Oak Grove. I think they represent some of the better values I have in bottom shelf wines. And I recommend this Viognier many times. It's been a while since I tried it, so I'm kind of stoked to give it a try. I can already smell it. It's so aromatic. Viognier is so nicely aromatic. Golden color. Kind of a straw gold. Kind of like the Vermentino we did. Yeah, I get peaches, apricots, a little bit of melon coming through. Maybe more of a cantaloupe. Almost get really interesting. Get a nutty component coming through as well. But definitely the peaches and apricots come through. Let's see what we get on the palate. fresh, nice fruit. I've always liked, if you want to give a good example, and spicy. Lots of spice on the back end of this. Solid example of Viognier. You got the peaches, apricots, fresh. I believe this is only 12.5 alcohol, which means they could pick it early. California, it's hard to get that low, so they might pick it a little bit early. That's why you get that kind of fresh. I'm almost getting like a little bit of grassiness as well, and a little lemon. Nice full glass palate, good integration. Finish is fairly long, and that's where you get that tiny bit of grassiness, which is very unusual to me for a Viognier. But it's predominantly those fruit flavors of apricot, peaches, maybe a touch of pineapple in there as well. I think for $8, and you want to try a Viognier, maybe it's your first time, this is a good example. Good fruit flavors, but not sweet. I oftentimes recommend, people say, what can I saute my clams in? I say, grab yourself some Oak Grove Viognier, splash a little bit of that in your clams, you're going to love it. And many people have tried it, and they really do like it. I think it's a good example. It'd be great with crab, halibut, by itself, of course. Because of those higher sugar contents, Viognier has a creamier mouthfeel. This one's fresher than a lot of them I've tried. Nice example of Viognier. I'm gonna go straight up B on that. I think this is a solid Viognier, and the price is stupid. $8. Crazy. Let's move on. Maryhill, a very well-known winery in Washington State. This is the 2018, which I thought was very interesting. Columbia Valley, Washington. Maryhill. This rolls in at $13. We sell a lot of Maryhill Viognier, and I'm telling you, they must make a lot of it if they're still on the 18. That's my guess. Yeah, Oak Grove. What a great value that is. All right. Again, color, kind of hay to gold. You can see that. Let's see what we got on this. I believe this one was 13.5 alcohol. Yes, 13.5. This does not pop on the nose as much as the Oak Grove. I get a deeper aromas, if that makes any sense at all, of there's almost a banana component coming through. There's that banana again. Hope that doesn't scare you guys. Definitely apricot. I get a little getting a little mango as well. Yeah, it's kind of brooding in there. It's not pops as much as the Oak Grove does. Let's see what we get on the palate. There's that fruit salad in the mouth. This one hedges toward the more fruit forward side, or as we say, the sweeter side. I get just a potpourri of fruit flavors: mango, peaches, apricot, a little papaya coming through. This would be good with Asian noodles. I had a reflection in there. What is floating in there? But it's just a reflection in the glass. This would be a good Asian noodle wine. It has that nice creaminess, that those fruit flavors come through. Again, I still recommend Viognier with shellfish like clams, mussels, great with halibut, things like that. Just a really nice white to have with those things. And it's just enough fruit. Like if you get a little bit of a sweet tooth, but you don't want it super sweet, this is the way to go. Yeah, that is definitely a B+, A- Viognier right there. Maryhill, $13. Again, if you want to see what Viognier is all about, that's a good example as well. This is a little fresher. This leans towards what you'd think of Viognier would be. Kind of, like I said, fruit Liquefied fruit salad. How come I can't say that? Okay. It's interesting where Viognier is grown. They mess with it in Japan, Switzerland, Argentina, Chile, of course Washington State, California. I thought it was interesting they even mess with it in Japan, of course, Australia. And this is the Yalumba 2017, which is very interesting. Again, Eden Valley Viognier. Eden Valley is in the Barossa region of, this rolls in at, oh, sorry, before I get going. This rolls in at $19. Now, Eden Valley is in the Barossa region of Australia, South Australia. Barossa we know makes, the Barossa Valley makes some huge, big, bombastic Shiraz, whereas Eden Valley has more sloping hills. They have elevation. Their vineyards are planted in elevations of 1,200 to 1,600 feet. So cooler, which is probably still warm. You know, I wouldn't mind being there right now, but still cooler. So they're able to control it, have a longer growing season. And I was reading up, and I didn't realize this, but Eden Valley in Australia is considered one of the most significant growing regions for grapes in the world. That's a big statement. I learned something new. Eden Valley. There's some great wines that come out of there. I just didn't think of it that way. 2017. Australian Viognier. Again, hay to gold. Got it there? Yeah. Let's see if we can do anything else. This has almost like a... There's almost a smokiness to the nose, which is really cool. Smoky mango, smoky papaya. A bit of apricot coming through on that one. Not in a big way, but just subtle notes of apricot. It hits you in the face. I wanted to say sulfur, but that was wrong. That would be a flaw in the wine. No, it's more of a smokiness. Very interesting nose. I like the aromatics on this. Let's see what we get on the palate. Excellent balance on this. Now, this is more wrapped a little tight. Has that nice creamy mouthfeel. That's from the weight of the sugars in the grape. This one, I believe, was, this was 13.5 alcohol as well. Long finish. This is like a smooth, a lot of people like to say buttery. If I ever use that term, this is not taste like buttery, but it has that consistency, that mouthfeel like that. There's some minerality to this. There's some spice to this. It's like a mashed up mango and papaya with just a squirt of apricot on it. And then there's a very curious, that smokiness comes through, which I find quite interesting. Long finish. Yeah, that is a very interesting Viognier. I think Maryhill is probably the most fruit forward of the three so far. And then you have this one from Eden Valley, which has some pretty intense complexity. It's a 17 and still going strong, which I find very cool. Trying to get that. There's a flavor, almost not walnut, but maybe a little almond. Get a little almond. Again, it has the fruit, but it's not sweet. It has a kind of an edge of ripe fruit, but it's nicely wrapped up, well-made Viognier. Yeah. I'm gonna go straight up A on that. I think that's probably. I love this. I went B plus A minus. but this has just got some complexity, hard to explain it, spiciness on the back end, which I really like. You co-ferment this baby with the Syrah, you're going to really ramp up that Syrah. Very nice. Okay, let's move on. This is out of Walla Walla Valley, Washington. This is the Cougar Crest 2020. This is a 2020, I believe. Yes, 2020. $21. Cougar Crest Viognier, estate grown, Walla Walla Valley. You know it's going to be a little bit more money when it comes from Walla Walla. Walla Walla is probably one of the premier growing regions in the state of Washington, and it demands more money for its fruit. Estate grown though. Alright, Cougar Crest. Okay, this is a little lighter than the other three. This hedges more definitely towards hay color. Straw color, hay, whatever you want to say. Straw. Say straw. See what we get on those. Ooh. Ooh. Boy, this really hits you in the face with apricot, peaches. I'm getting some papaya. What is that other? There's another really... Hedging towards juicy fruit striped gum. Well, tangerine, that's what I'm getting. The tangerine notes. This is very interesting. I think I would go Oak Grove and Cougar Crest as two most popping on the nose aromatics. Eden Valley, as I said, was very complex. Viognier. Let's see what we get on the palate. Tangerine, mango, apricot, and right on the mid palate, it hit me with that, you know, those fruit striped gums with the, you know, the really cool, pull it out and has all those, yeah. So it reminded me of it. Hit me there. A little lime coming through on that one as well. This one is jazzy. This one's sparky on the palate, and it is not what I would consider sweet. It's nice and fresh. That tangerine element gives it that kind of citrusy component that comes through. Really fresh. This one is so interesting with that kind of smoky characteristic. This way I could describe it. This one, just nice and fresh, lots of jazzy fruit flavors in the mouth, just really gives you an idea of what Viognier can do without getting too, let's see, I think this one was, yeah, this is a 14.5 alcohol. Yes, 14.5. But yeah, it doesn't show to me on the palate that much. This one also has just a hint of, I don't know why, but like a little kind of almond characteristic on the very backside. Spicy too, as at the very end of the finish. Long finish, gets really spicy at the end. Very cool. If you have not, before I get on a tangent here, not tirade, tangent, I'm going to go A+ on that. That's my favorite of the bunch, second favorite. Pretty close on those two. Yeah. So if you haven't tried a Viognier yet, seek it out. Look in your stores, talk to your wine steward, whoever you trust, and say, hey, I'd like to try a Viognier. Hopefully maybe they have one of these. This would be a great way to go. I think these are all good in different ways. I really like this Cougar Crest, even though it's 21 bucks, even though that's not super expensive. I understand that. I understand. You know, $8 sounds really good for as good as this is. But sometimes you have to step up just a little bit if you want the complexity and the real good example of what Viognier can do. I love that jazziness, the mango, papaya, and then that little splash of tangerine underneath, and the spice at the end. Good complexity. I like this wine a lot. And you know, at 14.5 alcohol, you don't feel it. It has a freshness to it. Now, these are not high acid wines at all. They don't have high acidity, but these are well-made Viogniers, and they, you know, like I said, the fruitiest one of the bunch is a Maryhill. And if you're into mood, have a little bit of a sweet tooth, I'd go that direction. But you got a lot of examples here. Try Viognier if you haven't done so far. How many of you out there, and just make a comment, seek out Viognier when you go into the wine department? Is that something you look for? And have you ever thought of having it with mussels and clams and oysters? I think it'd be beautiful with those things, excuse me, especially the Cougar Crest. There you go, the second V of the V trifecta. Now, I got a couple of comments, not a lot, but I'd like to have more comments. What do you think the third V will be of the 3V trifecta whites? Make a comment, let me know what you think. Christopher Smith, you already got it right. Good job. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. If you feel up to it, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it very much. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.